You've seen tall buildings, bridges of steel, and towers of glass. But none of those compare to what nature has been quietly building for thousands of years. In the mountains of California, there are living giants, trees so massive, they make you feel like an ant standing beside them. These aren't just plants. They're monuments of time, weight, and endurance. Start with the king of them all, General Sherman. It doesn't hold the record for tallest or widest, but when you measure its total volume, no other tree on Earth even comes close. This sequoia stretches 275 feet into the sky, and its trunk is nearly 36 feet across at the base. Scientists estimate its total weight at 2.7 million pounds. That's heavier than 15 blue whales. And here's what's even more staggering. General Sherman is still growing. Every single year, it adds enough wood to equal the size of an average tree. Imagine a skyscraper that builds another floor on itself every year, for thousands of years. That's Sherman. Not far away stands another colossus, General Grant. This tree is so impressive that it's been nicknamed the nation's Christmas tree. It's not just size that sets it apart. Its presence is symbolic, so much so that President Calvin Coolidge declared it a national shrine in 1926 to honor Americans who died in war. People don't just look at General Grant as a natural wonder, but as a living memorial. And then there's the President tree. At over 3,200 years old, it has lived through the rise and fall of empires, long before humans ever built cathedrals or invented writing systems. The President doesn't only impress with age, it's also massive. Some of its branches are as large as full-grown trees. Standing beneath it, you're reminded that time for these giants moves differently. These California sequoias are more than trees. They're ancient architects of the forest, unmatched in scale. But as incredible as they are, they're just the beginning. Because beyond sheer bulk, there are trees that climb so high, they nearly vanish into the clouds. If California's giant sequoias are the champions of sheer bulk, then the coast redwoods are the masters of height. These trees don't just grow tall, they scrape the sky in ways that almost defy imagination. When you walk into a redwood grove, the world suddenly feels different. The light dims, the air cools, and you realize you're standing in a living cathedral where the pillars stretch hundreds of feet above you. The most famous of these towering beings is Hyperion. Discovered in 2006, this coast redwood holds the record as the tallest known tree on the planet. Hyperion rises an astonishing 380 feet into the air. To put that in perspective, it's taller than the Statue of Liberty, pedestal and all, and even taller than the Big Ben clock tower in London. It's so tall that if you laid it down on the ground, it would stretch longer than a football field. Its exact location remains secret, hidden deep within Redwood National Park, to protect it from human damage. Not far behind Hyperion are its cousins, Helios and Icarus. Helios measures 374 feet tall, and Icarus isn't far behind at 371. These trees are so tall that their uppermost branches live in a world completely separate from the forest floor. Up there, they catch winds, sunlight, and even fog in ways that create mini ecosystems in their crowns. Scientists have found mosses, ferns, and even small animals thriving hundreds of feet above the ground, an entire world resting in their branches. What's most remarkable is how quietly they've been growing. Many of these redwoods are over 1,000 years old. They were already seedlings before Viking ships set sail, and they've been climbing ever since. Standing among them, you understand why they've been called nature skyscrapers. Unlike concrete towers, they aren't built by human hands, and unlike steel, they bend with the wind, swaying gracefully during storms that would topple most buildings. The coast redwoods dominate with height the way sequoias dominate with mass. But height and size are only part of the story. Some trees amaze not with how tall they stand, but with how long they've survived, stretching their lives across nearly unfathomable spans of time. When you think about long life, maybe you picture a tortoise living a couple of centuries, or a whale lasting more than 100 years. But some trees outlast them all, by thousands of years. These aren't just old, they are living time capsules, witnesses to almost all of human history. One of the most famous was Prometheus, a Great Basin bristlecone pine in Nevada. When it was cut down in 1964, Scientists counted its rings and realized it was more than 4,900 years old. That meant Prometheus was already growing before the pyramids of Egypt were built, before writing systems appeared in Mesopotamia. Imagine a single tree quietly living through the rise and fall of civilizations, only to be discovered at the end of its nearly 5 millennia life. Prometheus may be gone, but its relatives still live. High in California's White Mountains stands Methuselah, another bristlecone pine, still alive at nearly 4,800 years old. Its exact location is kept secret for protection, but this tree continues to thrive in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Bitter cold, thin air, and rocky soil that would kill most plants have instead preserved it, allowing Methuselah to endure almost 5 millennia of storms. Even Methuselah, though, seems young compared to Old Tjikko in Sweden. This Norway spruce looks like an ordinary small tree, but scientists discovered its root system has been regenerating itself for roughly 9,500 years. That means when mammoths still walked northern Europe, Old Tjikko's roots were already alive. The tree itself dies back and regrows over and over, but the genetic individual has been around nearly 10,000 years. These survivors aren't the tallest or the heaviest, but they carry something more powerful, the story of endurance. They remind you that survival can be just as impressive as size. And while these elders dominate with age, across the world there are giants that impress with sheer presence, trees that stand out for their scale and shape in every corner of the planet. So far, you've seen California's towering redwoods and the ancient bristlecones that count their years in millennia. But the planet holds more giants beyond North America, trees that dominate their landscapes with scale, width, and sheer presence. Take Centurion, a Eucalyptus regnans hidden deep in the forests of Tasmania, Australia. This species, also called the mountain ash, is the tallest flowering plant in the world. Centurion reaches about 329 feet, making it the tallest tree outside North America. That's as high as a 30-story building. These trees grow fast, stretching upward at a speed few other species can match. Yet Centurion isn't just a tall specimen, it's a survivor. The forests of Tasmania have been heavily logged, and wildfires often sweep through the area. But somehow this tree has endured, rising above all others like a sentinel of the southern hemisphere. Then there's Methuselah, a kauri tree in New Zealand whose name means father of the forest. Unlike Centurion, its claim to fame isn't height but girth. Its trunk measures more than 50 feet around, giving it a presence so massive that standing near it feels like facing a living wall of wood. Estimated to be over 2,000 years old, Methuselah carries cultural significance for the Maori people, who see it as a guardian of the forest and a sacred being. If you travel to Mexico, you'll find another giant that redefines the word massive, the Árbol del Tule. This Montezuma cypress has the thickest trunk of any tree on Earth, measuring nearly 38 feet across. That's so wide it takes more than 30 adults linking arms to circle it completely. Scientists estimate it may weigh more than 500 tons. Its branches sprawl outward, creating a canopy that covers the central plaza of the town of Santa Maria del Tule. Each of these trees shows a different kind of enormity, height, girth, or sheer mass. Together, they prove that the world's giants don't come in just one form. And yet, not all trees are measured only by size. Some are revered for what they mean to people, for the stories, the beliefs, and the legends they've carried through time. Not every remarkable tree is remembered for its size or its age. Some have become legendary because of the meaning people attach to them. These trees aren't just natural wonders, they're living symbols of culture, spirituality, and history. In the ancient city of Anuradhapura, Sri Lanka, stands the Jaya Sri Maha Bodhi, a sacred fig tree with a lineage unlike any other. Planted more than 2,000 years ago, it's believed to have grown from a cutting of the original Bodhi tree in India, under which Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, attained enlightenment. This tree has been carefully protected for centuries, watched over by monks and worshippers who see it as a direct connection to one of the most important events in human spiritual history. To this day, pilgrims travel from across the world to sit beneath its branches in reflection. In South Africa once stood the Sumland baobab, a tree so massive and hollow that a small bar was built inside its trunk. For years, visitors could sit inside and look up at walls of living wood that were nearly 6,000 years old. While storms eventually caused the tree to split apart, it remains a symbol of the baobab's unique role in African culture, as a tree of shelter, gathering, and endurance. And then there is Pando in Utah, which might be the most extraordinary of them all. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary grove of quaking aspens, but underground, all the trees are connected by a single root system. Genetically, it's one organism, and it may weigh more than 6,000 tons, making it the heaviest living being on Earth. Pando blurs the line between forest and individual, reminding you that sometimes life doesn't fit neatly into categories. From sacred figs to hollow baobabs to entire forests sharing one root, these legendary trees show that greatness isn't always measured in height or width. Sometimes it's measured in meaning, and together they leave you with one truth. The biggest trees in the world aren't just giants of nature, they're giants of history, spirit, and survival.